Healing our relationships is important and essential because it's into our relationships that we project our worst issues. You know, you could say if you lived as a hermit, you're not really dancing the dance. You're really not working on the dynamics, the stuff of life, because you're isolated. And there's value to that for some people, but it's too isolating, you know, and so insulated in a way. And so it creates this buffer around us where we're not interacting with people. People are the primary places we project our stuff. Now, even a person who's a hermit is going to still have to deal with their projections into the world. It's going to be into the weather that's too cold, the weather that's too hot, the trees, a branch falls on the person and hurts them. That's actually a relationship. Our relationships are not just with people. It's everything we relate to. We even relate to our body. We have a relationship with our body. So we have relationships with everything. But the place that we most project our issues, our unhealed wounds, is into other people. So coming to peace and learning to heal our relationships with other people is absolutely essential. I've written what's called the Book of Love and Forgiveness for a reason. It's all about, let's get to it. Let's learn how. It's a simple, almost in a single day read on, let's get to it, how to achieve forgiveness, how to successfully experience forgiveness, but also love, of course, but the effects of that, so that it's visceral, it's in our lives. We feel the effects instead of theorizing around them. And I have a Facebook group. It's a private group, but you're welcome to request to get into the group if you'd like. But it's called Friends of Michael Mirdad. And on that group, I sometimes ask questions just to get everybody kind of thinking and working on things. But everybody is welcome to pitch in, and so on, brainstorm. But one question I asked recently was about relationships. It was about, if you had to reincarnate, if you were going to reincarnate into the future, what kind of relationship would you most want? What would you prefer to experience? And think about this for a sec. Some of you are on the Friends group, and I know this is redundant for you, so hang in there for a sec. But what kind of relationship? Would you like none at all? Or would you like just dating? I'd just rather relax and just date a little bit. Would you like monogamy? A one person, like I meet somebody and they're it. It's like a life mate for life, What would you prefer? What do you think would most resonate with your heart as it is today, who you are today? Life mates. What about polyamory? Meaning to sort of be intimate with a few or several or whatever it happens to be for you. So am I going to pick nothing, like no dating? I'm going to be kind of celibate? Or am I going to date? Am I going to prefer, I'd look forward to coming back in this next life with one life mate, one partner, just solid and for life. Or is it going to be, I'd like to have intimate, I call it intimate friends, when you have, because I don't really think that most people know what the version of, what would healthy polygamy be. That's not what I'm emphasizing at all when I say polyamory. Polygamy is like to try to marry several other people. It's not, it's illegal in most places, but polygamy is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the ability to date a few, to love, to actually enter a relationship with more than one person. And I want to make this clear. Every one of the options I just shared, think about this. Which is the healthiest? Just take a second with that. Which is the healthiest? Taking a break from relations in the next life? Dating? Because that's got its, clearly it's got its kind of like, well, I'm in control of that. I'll date who I want, whatever. Life mate, God, that sounds just so cool. Think about it. Wow. Somebody I connect with, my life mate, a soulmate partnership. Fantastic. Or I believe you can love a few people and share with a few people. Which of these is the healthiest? And you can enter your answers if you like, put them up there. And it's kind of cool. For some people, posting that's kind of vulnerable, like letting people know, I've married, let's say, 4 times, but really what I'm looking for is a life mate. It's kind of beautiful and vulnerable to put that up there. You might currently have a life mate, or maybe you've had one for years, and then you say, but it's weird because I feel like I'm somebody that's more capable of polyamory. Amory, amor, so it's love. Poly, multiple, so it's love for many, or meaning more than one. It doesn't mean one after another like a typical dating or marriage at one after another. Polyamory means at the same time, simultaneous, love. Can that happen? Now, to elaborate on these for a second, you'll hear all kinds of arguments one way or the other, and it's kind of funny. You're even in your own head, you might have these arguments. Oh, I don't believe in polyamory. I don't believe in, just dating. It's got to be one person and one person only. That's cool. Now, that's kind of cool. Is that the healthiest one? You might vote yes. Let's pretend we took a survey and you've already cast your vote. So some of you are going to say dating because it's not so intense as partnership that, sometimes you have to deal with a lot of stuff because it's relaxed, You might say, oh gosh, the one-time partner, God, it's so beautiful. And it has such the archetype of happily ever after, it just kind of got its own beauty. And, withdrawing from relations for a bit, that sounds kind of evolved. I got to tell you, when you evolve enough, romantic partnership it just doesn't feel that as necessary, and certainly not as pressing. It's just not, because once you really wake up and you realize everything's an illusion, you start to prioritize. Like all of a sudden your consciousness is spending more energy in the awareness of all than it is on specificity. There's my partner, my one and only. Hey, how are you doing? Can you just fit in this little box for me? I'm going to call you my one and only forever, You're going to be my Snow White Cinderella story, whatever. You're my one and only. So it's a beautiful little, fable kind of thing coming to fruition. Again, and then there's polyamory. That's kind of cool. The idea of it's so beautiful because of the teamwork. It's like collaboration. Can you imagine the beauty of, some of you will understand this, some of you won't. The collaboration of beauty being practiced, love being practiced in intimate friendships. So it's like, God, it's just gorgeous. I mean, it has such a great vibe to it. At the same time, any of those, I'm asking you, which is the healthiest? They each actually have perks. Your head might say, no, it's impossible. Only one of them can be right. I'm saying right here, every one of them is right, depending on who the person is that's engaging in that, choosing that. So every one of them is actually right. So hopefully we can peel those things off right away, the opinions that one of them is right. Maybe if you'd have asked me when I was 15, I would have had a different opinion than when I was, 40 or 55 or, now, today. What I do know is this. In my understanding, in my evolution, in my awakening to the truth of how things work, it's very clear to me. I've never been stuck on any one opinion of that. I'm just saying, if you ask me, maybe my opinion would be different. Maybe if we asked you 20 years ago, it'd be different from today. We sometimes have varying or evolving belief systems. For me, most of my understandings stay pretty consistent because they're the truth of God, so they just don't change. But I don't feel stuck or stubborn in them. So check this out. Whatever your decision was, now you have to ask yourself this: why did you choose the one you chose? I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying, why did you choose the one you chose? I chose, I'm going to be separate from relationships next time. I'm going to really just work spiritually, connect with God, be of service to humanity. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Good job. But why? And here's where I'm at. Any of these answers are good, but only if they're coming from a healthy place. So if you chose sort of to withdraw from relationships, why? And if you answer, and you have to be honest with yourself, if you're saying, oh God, why would I do relationships? They suck. They challenge me. They're just horrible. If you knew the experiences I had, you would understand, it's just been so hurtful and selfish. And no, that's not a healthy reason to say I'm going to withdraw and kind of hang out on my own. If you don't heal the issues, then you're going to come back in likely more intense learning situations. So if you picked withdrawal, let's call it that, kind of like not celibacy per se, but kind of celibacy, or, to just focus on oneself. If that, is your choice, why? If it's hurt-based, it's the wrong decision. My advice would be, got to do some healing. Sorry. Then you'll find, and here's the key word, you'll find organically what you're meant to be doing. See, if I'm coming from a reactive place, then I don't even really know what I should be doing. And we can say, oh no, God would want me to. No, don't try that. At least not with me as the recipient of that conversation, because I don't buy it. There is no God who says, children, you must only marry one, love only one. And certainly there's not a God that says, I want you all to become nuns, married to Jesus. That's the way they did it in religion in the old days, still practiced today. But that's what happened in the old days. We don't have relationships, partnerships, lovemaking, sex, etc., intimacy. What we have is we're married to Jesus. I mean, it was like one of the most preposterous things in the world. Jesus was like, seriously, I'm not interested. But everybody kept marrying Jesus, and Jesus is like, Jesus. So if you think about it, that's not what was meant to be. That wasn't what God wanted. When any human being, including you and I, ever heard in our hearts, I want you to marry Christ, Jesus, let's say. It didn't mean Jesus, it meant Christ. And when you heard marry Christ, because even in the book of Revelation, the book ends with a marriage between the bride and the bridegroom, all that meant was our soul merging with the higher self, marrying the bridegroom, the Christ within us. It didn't mean Jesus or a religious figure or anything like that. So, we often misinterpreted that to be something in the form, but it wasn't. It was a spiritual statement. Marry God, join with, merge with, tantra with, yoga with God, with spirit. Let go of the human self and marry, surrender to, like marriage, surrender to God. That's all it meant. So if you were to say, here's where I'm at, in let's say I'm speaking for you, my vote is to remain dedicated to my spiritual path and really not participate in partnerships. Again, why? And if you could say, I feel complete with that. Complete, why? Because you've had no success? Yes, well then you got to get back there and work on that. If you can say, I feel complete, meaning I don't feel desire for it, need for it, like I'm not saying I find it negative, I find it to be beautiful. I feel like I just want to put some time into helping humanity rather than living with a partner. I want to merge with my work and bring it forward, whatever that work is. I don't care if it's painting, nursing, or whatever else. I feel like I want to be helpful. I want to travel the world and be helpful to people. Why? Because I'm wounded? Wrong reason. If that's the reason, go do some healing work. But if you can say, no, I feel spiritually compelled. I feel inspired. That's the end of that. That's perfect for you then. No more discussion. It's perfect. As long as it's real, inspired, organic. If something comes from the wounded place, it's never the right reason to do it. And if it's coming from spiritual inspiration, it's always the right reason. So that's one option. What about dating? If you say, oh God, I just got to do dating because, this lifetime I was kind of celibate and I lost out. Wrong reason. If you say, I didn't lose out, I had a relationship, but they were just terrible, so I just want to play the field and date. Wrong reason. But if you say, I think dating would be right for me because, and you could say it's an inspiration. You can say, I feel like I would like to share my awareness, my consciousness with people in kind of a light fashion. Dating here. This one, I'm going to go dancing with someone for a while, and I want to share some fun and travel with someone. That's dating, and that has its own beauty as long as it's coming from a healthy place. Another option, I want to have a life mate, a soulmate or life mate. I want to have someone that is my life mate, my partner for life. Maybe it's not the first person I date. Maybe it's the second or third person I spend time with. But maybe even it's the first. Maybe I just attract and create. The first time is the right time. Like, wham, perfect. And that's beautiful too. If you say, I want a life mate, one and only because I come from a certain tradition, religion, culture, or something that says all else is naughty, I have to have one and only, or I'm naughty, wrong reason. If you say, well, my mother, she insists that I have just one and only, wrong reason. I've always said, if your mom pushes or dad pushes or anybody else, pushes and says you've got to marry somebody and you got to marry before you're a certain age and you've got to produce children, and they tell you who to marry, tell them to go marry them. You stay free, man. You remain free, empowered and beautiful, and find out what you're about, what's organic for you. So, think about that. It's not just necessarily monogamous, but it sort of has that vibe in some ways. I have a life mate, a soulmate. It's sort of a monogamous relationship. I've got it and it feels great. As long as it feels organic, great. Organic meaning it feels like it's truly me, as opposed to my religion tells me I have to do this or that. If you say again, I dated and I feel shame. I feel really ashamed. I slept with a lot of people and I feel ashamed. Next time, monogamy. Wrong reason. If you say I had a partner, wonderful, but something went wrong. We broke up, dated another one, and maybe married them. And it didn't go that well, and I always wished I would have stayed with that first one. So next time it's going to be only one. That's, again, the wrong reason. It's only if you can say, I just feel like the greater good for me and someone else out there would be to meet a person and walk through life with them from beginning till end. Then again, it's organic, it's beautiful. It sounds like, wow, and that's the kind of person that should be with one. And really, that's the kind of person that should be having children. All the other groups should probably not be having children. But, especially if you're celibate, that would be different. But if you're in a one and only, not just dating and accidental babies, but, it's when two people get together and they're just so right for each other and they connect. It's really cool when they go, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, we're together, and I just noticed that it seems perfectly natural and organic for the two of us to create a third because there's so much love. Imagine how organic this can be. Two people loving each other so much that instead of just saying two people meet that feel lonely and they start craving each other and join in sex and produce kids by decision or by accident, imagine this. What if two people get together and say, there is so much natural connection. The love itself, even without joining, the love and respect itself is so amazing, so incredibly intense in a good way, that without even touching, a child is practically born, sparked into creation. That's the only time we should be producing children, when it feels that organic. Like, that means that there's no chance for hesitations or regrets and so on and so on. That's my take on that. That leaves us with the other, which is polyamory. Some people go, oh, yeah, totally, polyamorous, that's me. Why? Oh, because I've been a nun and I'll never do that again. Wrong reason to be polyamorous. Because I'm a sex addict, and that's very permissive, so now I can get away with anything because I call it polyamory, and now there's a a title out there. There's a name called polyamory. So there's a name for it, and everybody has to honor each other's rights. If you want to be gay or straight, you want to be this or that. Everybody's these days supposed to just kind of say, oh well, we support you in that. So if I'm just a sex addict and I want to become polyamorous, it's kind of cool. I hide behind it, but nobody can call me on it because that's politically incorrect. So everybody just kind of supports me and enables my addiction. That's where it's not good. But people do it. Polyamory. Because I'm angry, I've been controlled, my religion controlled me, my parents controlled me. Polyamory is my way of saying, screw all of you. I'm going to do what I want. You can't tell me what to do. I'm polyamorous. So none of that's organic. None of that's real. It's reactive. And if I were a prospective partner of yours as a polyamorous partner, one of your partners, I wouldn't be in the slightest interested in you. Because what I'm hearing is you're wounded and you want to pull me into your little trip, and I'm not interested. So the only healthy type of relationship, the only one that I would say is really right, is a healthy one. When you say, which one would I come back to do? All I'm asking is, first, clear any negative or false reasons for doing any one of them. But if you can say, I got it, and I kind of now know which one is right for me, what feels organic. You might even feel a calling towards two. That's not necessarily bad. It could be because you're confused. It could be because there's wounds and you kind of are vacillating. We should look at that, clear that, so that whatever is left is right and there's no more doubts. I can have two choices and not be doubtful, though. I'm saying if there is doubt, clear it so that you can know honestly what it is you're interested in. But it could very well be, you find a couple of them seem right, kind of like I'm open. I could see myself dating and then finding the life mate instead of just finding the life mate, being with them forever. I could see myself dating and then doing the other. That feels okay to me. I can see myself, being polyamorous and then settling down to one person, or having one person and then doing the other. As long as it feels love-based and healthy and there's no false reasons behind it. If people could know themselves more and be more honest with themselves, then we wouldn't even have this question. But people are so confused. I mean, a lot of you are listening to this, you don't even realize that, you might not have even realized that your decisions, your choices, what you might have thought was right choice, to be Republican or Democrat, to be gay or straight, to be this or that, you might believe you actually have a good grip on why you do it and think, no, this is right for me. And it may very well not be right at all because you might not have considered some of the things that I shared, but do consider them. Some people are going to choose polyamorous simply because they've come from cultures in past lives. Some people are monogamous and one person only because of past lives. I don't want anything from the past or past lives controlling me. That's not God. God is where I am now with God, aligned with God. Not just where I am now as a broken person. When I'm in this moment with God, that's the closest I come to being my organic self. So rather than, pushed by past lives. So I don't want any of that pushing and pulling. If I was a pagan in another lifetime and I practiced beautiful ceremonies out in the forest and lovemaking and it was just kind of fun and wild, and that's controlling me today, then it's not really me. I need to know where I am today and who I am today, aside from any other previous experience. Who am I now? Now that I've done this and that and cleared and healed this and that, what remains? And for me personally, because when we did the Friends of Michael Mirdad Facebook page, one or two people kind of hinted or asked, so what are your beliefs, Michael? And that's why I brought this up, because my beliefs are what I just said. Every one of those can be unhealthy. Every one of those can be healthy. It depends on where you're coming from. And I would love, if I could wave a wand, I would love to be able to see the world in a state where they can just be more healed and organic and know what's right for them instead of so many other things. God, because there's tensions to that. I married this person because, and well, I was dating them. I know a person who said they were dating someone and really committed more to the person because they believed when you have sex with somebody, you better have a good reason for it, or else you're naughty. She would say, she had new people in her past that said it meant she was a slut if she did that. So when she started being intimate with a guy, she thought, I have to commit to him now, and she didn't even like him much. But that's the circumstance she got into, so that tied her life up for years. And I don't think that's organic at all. I don't think that's healthy at all. And she paid karmic circumstances and situations for that, because we tend to bring up sort of a karmic result for things that we know don't feel right for us. On another note, when people ask me, I feel any one of them can be healthy. I've done every one of them in my own way. I've certainly been without. I've certainly been married and partnered. Dating, I didn't do much. It's kind of a strange thing, and a lot of people, I think, would not even believe if I explained my life and my story around partnerships and intimacy and that sort of thing. What I do know is I feel very dedicated to my work, and my work does come first, which seems kind of insulting. I know friends or would-be friends, they thought they were friends, I thought they were whatever, friends that when they realize the work comes first, they're hurt. They got very hurt. Like they thought, kind of like a person who thinks I'm going to change you. When they get in a relationship with you. But even without a partnership, I've had friends that thought, well, he must not mean it. I mean, friendships clearly come first, or even intimate friendships come first. And nothing comes before God and I. I mean, that's my relationship. That's my spiritual commitment, and that's my work. If I die tomorrow, I know that what I do, and you guys need to know too, what you do in your work, your spiritual work, your soul's purpose, is what's going to matter when you reach the other side, not who you dated, or how fun it was, or you went to Disneyland together. Nobody cares on the other side. We went to Europe. Nobody cares. They really don't. Oh, we had the most amazing physical connection. On the other side, they don't care. Did you fulfill your purpose? Which has to do with, did you better the world in some way? Did you bring the presence of God to the world in some way? That's your ultimate spiritual relationship. So for me, that's first. So this is my take. If I have that first relationship, the one with God and I, connected, God, my relationship with God, my relationship with myself, if that's well connected, to me the rest doesn't matter. So I could go without anything else. I could date. I could partner. I could be with several intimate partners, in a period of time. I could do any of them because I see, I will not judge any one of them. I see value. When you say you don't judge something, it often should be tested by saying, could you do it? And that's a good litmus test. I can't say that applies all the time for everybody, but it's an interesting litmus test. Because, when you say, oh, I don't judge it, but then somebody says, well, would you do it? Never. It's almost like you're betraying yourself, because it's like, oh, no, because it's bad. So it's kind of a nice litmus test for me, anyway, to say, could I do any of them? Yeah, I could do any of them. Would I do, I don't think that for me, of all those, I could do any of them, but I don't think for me, just kind of hanging out and dating does any good for me. It doesn't make much sense. I don't need anything, and I don't need a life mate, and I don't need. So for me, and I think some of you, we feel just kind of complete, and this is kind of cool, because when you feel complete, you will not want or need a relationship, but you would be doing well enough that you are open that if it happened, you're okay with it. See, I don't need it. I don't have to have it, but I can choose it. And I love that notion, man. I love that idea. I can choose it. Just picture that. Hey, could you do life mate? Yeah, I could choose that. Imagine saying that. Yeah, I could. I'm open to that. I could choose that. Do you have to have it? No, I could date or not date. Just imagine what that feels like to have that level of clarity. Now, some of you aren't going to like this. Some of you, I get these texts and emails from people, oh, Michael, you just don't understand. You just don't get it. There's nothing like having another person to cook with and to sip tea with. And it sounds like you like that. What's sad is it sounds like you have become attached to it. But As soon as you start telling other people they're wrong for their type of relationship, as soon as you do that, you're automatically, instantaneously wrong. Because you cannot tell other people what's right for them. You can say this is likely healthy, this is unhealthy in general, but you can't tell a person, oh, no, 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 no. No, you're wrong. You're not gay. You're not supposed to be gay. It's evil. No, you're wrong. You dated more than one person. That's bad. It's against our religion. As soon as you spout things like that, it's all it is ignorance and ego kind of coming through. Staying out of the mess, staying out of all the opinions, and just being able to go, wow, good for you. See, if someone says to me, oh, I'm polyamorous, I believe in loving everyone, most of the time, I already know you're messed up, but I'm not going to likely tell you that I'm going to judge you or whatever. I just know that most people that have whatever kind of relationship they have, as soon as they have this statement about it that they have to make, I know that it's off. When they say I'm open, I'm with a partner, but I really do understand that some people are with more than one, and I think it's beautiful. For me, this is where I'm at, is I have this one person. It feels gorgeous. I think that's really healthy right there. When you try to boast it and act all cool, I'm just so amazing, polyamory. I had a client come to me, this gal, and she said, tears in her eyes, Michael, I'm really struggling with a relationship problem. I said, okay, let's talk about it. What's going on? Well, I had to come to you. I didn't know what else to do. My partner is polyamorous, and I met this person, and we became a couple. And but they're polyamorous. They're with other people. And I said, well, it just doesn't feel right for me. And then this woman says, then my male partner said, you're not evolved enough. That's your problem. You're not evolved enough to know what real love is, because real love means you can share with many. Now, see, it almost sounds like that could even have some semblance of righteousness and sanity to it. But you don't realize that a lot of people, when they're doing that, what he's doing there is saying, honey, I want you to be open to other lovers. Why? Because I don't want you to question that I'm with other lovers. That's what's often behind it, which is bogus. But also, sometimes they're just saying, I just want you to be open, but you can't tell them they're not evolved if they can't do that. What kind of insanity is that? You're not evolved. You're not evolved enough. You don't love unconditionally enough like me. Look at me. That's silly, So I can say, yeah, I can do 50 different people, in a week because I'm so amazingly unconditional. That's very unlikely, my friend, So, you just can't pull that over on me. But I do know people that can pull off polyamory. If you're just dating and being intimate with several people, that's not necessarily polyamory. That's just, a certain lifestyle. You're just kind of getting around and doing your thing with different people, multiple partners. So, you might say later, yeah, I was a little promiscuous. Okay, fine. That's not polyamory. In its truest sense, polyamory would mean, first and foremost, that if I'm intimate with you, when I'm with you, and even when I'm not, but when I'm with you and intimate, I have absolute love and respect for you. If you weren't in the mood, that's fine. What are you in the mood for? In other words, your highest good, my highest good, and the highest good is all the essentials of why we're being intimate. It has nothing to do with the act and what we're going to do or a goal. It's more like the vibe set up between us, that there's love and respect. And furthermore, polyamory in its healthiest sense is like, could I have a couple of partners? For example, what if somebody is authentically partly gay or bi? Then polyamory might take the form of them being with a man and or a woman at a same period in their life. And how can we judge that? If it's loving and respectful, I think that's truly polyamorous. Or sometimes if it's the same gender you're with, or if it's the opposite sex, let's say. Again, I believe it can happen, but what has to happen is if I and 2 or 3 other people in this period of my life are being intimate, First of all, is it clear? It's not that they all have to know each other or know about each other, but are you being honest? Like, are you married but secretly doing things? And your marriage vows say, or your partnership vows say, you are sworn monogamous, then it's not authentic. Don't even call it polyamory, because polyamory will love, amory means love. You can't have lies and love at the same time. So at least be able to say to the partners, even if they don't know each other, that this is where I'm at. I am not in a committed partnership, that kind of thing. So that's, in my opinion, necessary. And then last but not least, if it's me and 2 or 3 or 4, whatever other people, ultimately what would really be nice, an ideal thing is that when you can grow it into this is a pod and we love each other. But it can't be one person with a few different people that like them, but not each other. And that's where triangulations and other really messed up things start to happen. Even when people think they're polyamorous, oh my God, how many times I've counseled people in this kind of condition where they're claiming to be polyamorous, but in comes the infighting and the jealousy and so on. And I've seen the best of it. I mean, I've seen people say, oh no, gosh, we're just really alive and feeling blissful, and we really just love each other and everything's peachy. And then as soon as one starts getting more attention by chance or what circumstance, whatever it happens to be, oh, the hate, man. The hate starts coming in. Now it's not polyamorous, it's poly-hateful. So, poly goes crackers. So it really tests and proves. It's not that you're bad for having thought you had it right, but it's nice to have it tested and proven. Wow, this really wasn't what we thought, and now we can kind of learn from that. And you could recover from it and continue what was there before, but at a better level. Most people can't, but it can be done. All I'm saying there is that there has to be mutual love. You're still going to have life challenges, just like if you had by yourself, or if you had one person, or dating, or polyamorous. You're still potentially going to have challenges with the relationship and with each other. But is it getting resolved like we're a team? It's amazing because you can live in that pod kind of a thing. And if you do it literally in the same household, wow, there's going to be a lot of people thinking weird things about you. Sometimes I think if you do that, it's right to come out and just say, here's how we live. Fine. It's different from saying that we have an open relationship. Because that's been misconstrued in the old days. Open relationship meant we just fool around a lot, promiscuously and so on and so on. So I don't mean it in that context, but if you had a few people living in the same household, I think, you kind of have to be prepared to deal with the flack that comes back on you for that. Or you can have your situation and not boast it to the world, whatever works best for the greatest good. I don't think you have to come out and shout it to the world. You don't owe it to people. You can live it instead and just experience that beauty yourself. So these are just different ideas. So if by chance you feel bi-ish and you want to explore with one and the other, and I wouldn't shame that, man. Just stop. If you're gay, if you are gay male or female, and your reasons for it are wounds from the like child abuse that made you go gay or straight, either way, I'm straight because I was wounded, I'm gay because I'm wounded, heal it and find out what you really are. If you're gay because if you're gay or straight because of former religion, I'm only allowed to be straight, wrong reason, check it out, see what you're really about. And if you're gay because of past lives, there are people that are gay today because they were priests that shared with other priests in other lifetimes. I know it may sound sacrilegious to some of you, but there it is. There are people that are lesbians, women that are lesbians, because they've been nuns and that's how they knew each other. They came back into this life with that kind of a familiarity. So it's like, that's what I know is women. Then it may not be authentic. You got to check it out and see if that's really what you are today. Not being compelled from the past, but inspired today. What are you really? And what a relief. Oh my God, what a relief. To take the stigma off and the pressure off. There are some of you out there that are gay and haven't come out. There are some of you that are gay that have come out and were shamed for it. And hopefully that's fading from planet Earth. But if it's still happening, I'm sorry about that. And let's try to open the way. And know that if that's the case for you, if there's a group of people right now, there's a group of people. It's in many thousands watching this program. There's not one of us that has the right to, nor would we or should we tell you there's anything wrong with that, whatever your choice is. If it's not from a healthy place, it's not advisable. If it is from a healthy place, not one of us should question you. And whatever you're doing, if you say, this is really me. You know, my family doesn't like me, but I'm gay. My family doesn't like me, but I feel fine about loving more than one person. I'm with a couple of partners in my life and it's beautiful. Then great, man. None of us have any right to question that if it's healthy. Why should we question something that's healthy? That makes no sense whatsoever. Unless we have issues on that topic. And if we do, seems to me we should go look at our own issues instead of harping on you. So please know, and if any of us in this program watching were to post something, no, gay is wrong, you know, polyamorous is wrong, dating is wrong, or whatever. First, if they feel that, bless you, you know. You certainly have the right to an opinion, but in this kind of program and in my life, I'm not really interested in the harsh judgments. I get that that's what you feel, if that happens to resonate with any of you, that you want to judge that sort of thing. I get that that's where you're coming from, that's what you feel, and I offer counseling or healing if you would like. We can talk about it. If you're going to use my page, my group, my broadcasts as a place to kind of shame people, and you're not interested in changing or opening your mind or healing whatever's compelling you to spout like that, no problem. We'll just block you, ban you, say goodbye, you know, because you need some boundaries if you're out of control like that. And if the boundaries aren't going to include some healthy counseling or looking at it, then there's only one recourse. Adios. All right? That may sound harsh, but I'm not interested in enabling people harming other people. So I want to start to come to a close here, but in part, I would like to just remind you, go back to kind of where we started, which is this. Let's take a second to appreciate every one of those options has a potential beauty to it. And we can say, each of us can say, and all I want is the one that feels right for me. Don't think God has an opinion. Don't fear God having an opinion. Try to let go of that stuff from past programs, that God has an opinion about who you love or how you love. God's going to say, is it real? Are you doing your mature psychological work? Meaning, are you entering a relationship looking at yourself? So you can't be with one or many or none as an escape because it isn't real. It's not healed. So are you willing to do your work? And if you are, nice, good job. In A Course in Miracles, Jesus makes reference to relationships being such a place of avoidance. And it almost sounds like, one minute, it almost sounds like in some of the extra diary notes that were edited out of the Course, you know, it's almost like you can hear him saying to one of Helen's dear friends, Helen, the channel of A Course in Miracles, it's like he was saying this gentleman was gay. And Jesus, it sounds like he just kind of, you know, hit him with, it's coming from an unhealthy place. Like, oh, okay, he's saying gay is wrong. But no, because he says the same thing about all relationships. He's saying basically, if you don't know what's brought you there, if you don't know who you are, you can't be healthy in the relationship. So you're there just as in another form of escape. So he will say that about gay, he will say that about straight, if you listen carefully, because he's saying that we're so commonly dysfunctional in our relationships, in our partnerships, and every other kind of relationship. So it's a good way to, just using that reference, A Course in Miracles, is a good way to recognize something, and that is relationships are where we most project our stuff. Therefore, the spirit world says, we love the idea of relationships, not for romance, but so you can heal your issues. Oh, thank you, Spirit. So you're telling me you encourage relationships. Yes, we do. But not because you just want me to be happy and kind of blissed out in my little intimate relationships. They're going, nope. You can just have that as icing on the cake. If you like it, enjoy it. When you decide to be intimate, that's great. You do that. But that's not why you're with the person. You're with the person to heal what you think you are, which is a limited human being, and become a sublime, bliss-stated spiritual being. And if you cannot accomplish that in that relationship, we're going to get you some other ones to try it out in. But what we care about on the other side, they're saying, is your healing, not your sensations. So if you can meet with someone that you can do both, that's the ultimate. If you're with a person, if you can do both, that's the ultimate. To be able to say, honey, I really connect with you. This feels really great. To one or more even, for that matter, assuming you're not kind of running solo for a bit. You can say to a partner, or partners, this is amazing because I feel this relationship allows me to peel off every kind of limit in my wounding, in my issues, in my limiting belief systems, all that stuff off because we connect, we talk, we work it. When we get triggered, we work it. And yet, the good gifts that come from that are also that we can carry over that level of trust and intimacy and vulnerability into the relationship. And even on a sexual level, intimate level, it still holds the vulnerability, the honesty, and so forth. And that's why the word intimacy means into me, see into me, to be with me. An intimate, I want you to be intimate with me means I want you to be an in-time mate, a mate in time, a partner in the time, this place of illusion, the place of three-dimensionality. I want you to be a mate, a partner. Like they say partners in crime, they're partners in time. Join with me. Come on, we can do it. I know we can do it. Let's stay focused on love. Let's work our stuff. Team, 3 partners, 4 partners, solo partners, whatever they are. One partner, monogamous partner, whatever it is. Can we accomplish that? Now, naturally, most people that try polyamory are not going to succeed because they're not even real in terms of their intentions. But even if they're real, oh my God, you think, ooh, wow, we can kind of make love to different people and it's very permissive. Well, great, but are you working on stuff? What about when you get triggered? If you have 4 people, you have 4 times as much work. I mean, if you're not doing the work, don't tell me it's sacred. So if you're doing the work, wow, man, you could be a glutton for punishment, man. 4 times the amount of work. But pull it off and whew, the gifts that come from that. Pull off completely surrendering to one, the gifts that come from that. And remember, I might choose running solo because I've already done the others. Not because I'm running. I might choose solo because I've done the others and I feel complete. I might choose monogamy because I've done the others and I feel complete and I want just one focused thing now. I might want polyamory because I've done the others and I feel complete, so this is, where I'm at right now. Don't think any of them matter on the other side because we're just spirits, one with everything. But on earth, which one are you choosing and is it real to you? And are you doing it with as much love, integrity, respect as possible? This is, not just about sensations and stimulations and kind of having fun. This is deep stuff. Relationships are the deepest thing we can possibly do. It's the place we work on our deepest stuff. If I sit here and I don't like the color of this room and I get annoyed by it, and I can still work on it. I can still work on stuff without people being around. But man, when you do have people around, there's some real tests there. But when the tests involve intimate relations, I mean, how much deeper can you go with a person when you're looking at stuff like fears and insecurities and jealousies and, oh my God, and even intimacies, our body issues and so on, So closing, I'm going to share this, just reflecting back. Like I said, in my life experience, I've tried a few of these things. I enjoyed each of these in their own different ways. I've had marriage, and that was fine and cool and everything, and we're still great friends and so on. I've had long-term partnership, and I've had no relationship, and and I've had periods, of intimate friends, a few friends. And for me, all of them played a part. All of them made sense in their own way. They're beautiful. I'm not just going, well, they were all okay, like brushing it off. I'm consciously aware how each one of them is great. I love each of the people, ever involved in that way. I would say the only rough patch, like learning curve, was after marriage. I'm kind of shy, and also after marriage, I got married to someone I met early on in life, so I hadn't dated and so forth. I never did any of that. So it was kind of scary and weird and vulnerable and kind of exciting. It took me years to get around to it, but coming out and saying, well, what am I going to do here? And even my ex, we would laugh talking about it. She would laugh at the notions of me going out because it's so foreign to me to kind of do things like that. So, I wasn't going to go out and play around like a lot of people do. And so for me, there were a few people that I was intimate with, and that was okay, but kind of clumsy, because I think that they thought that I was just a guy interested or dating or whatever. When they probably don't realize, and this is, probably starting in the early mid '90s even, and on in, because I was married till around 1990. So '90s into whatever period after that, where I'm trying it out, and I think some people thought, he's just a guy dating or something. And I'm even on tour meeting people once in a while. And I think that they just thought I was a guy, typical guy kind of dating or whatever, playing around. And it wasn't for me, man. It was actually, and I've never really shared this with a group of people before, but it was actually very intimidating, very scary, very different, So for me, it was very clumsy to try, this thing. And it's not like it was official dating per se, but just meeting people and spending time with them, however that happened, it was awkward, and it was in a good way. It was awkward and a learning curve, and I would say some of those decisions and so forth went really well, and some were not things that I felt really at the end that were best interest. But that's what happens when we're learning to walk. We kind of stumble, so you kind of accept it. But I think some people thought I was consciously doing something and didn't realize, for me, it was, wow, it was like just a child walking and going, I hadn't done this before, and this is kind of different. And so it was a little strange. Then that grew after, several years of being with now and again date, or whatever you call that, or not being with anybody, morphed into having a couple of different intimate friends. Maybe for a period and for a period and a period, but there were just a few that I chose to spend a little more time with. That felt like I was age progressing, because even though I was 30 and in my 30s, I was actually going back and doing things I had never learned or experienced as a kid. So I was now kind of coming out and getting to know, as a young adult, what it's like to have couple of mature, different friends, intimate friends, and then that kind of morphed into having more like closer and closer friends. And so I had, periods like that where, so I've had all of those, where I tried a little date here and there, if you want to call it that, nothing at all, partnership, monogamous, and awkwardness, which is how we, get to know ourselves. And that's why I was able to even teach around intimacy and sacred sexuality, because I was always, really, to my best, coming from and wanting to come from a place of integrity. I don't know if everybody always understood it or saw it that way, but it really was. And if I ever slipped, I kind of just really felt, I don't know, for lack of a better word, horrible about it, because the slipping for me was like, wait a minute, that's not completely aligned and it doesn't feel right. So let me step back and check that out again. Most people don't care. You date, you try it out. And a lot of people, they date, they get buzzed, sleep with people, and they just go, well, this is what everybody does, so they don't care. I just didn't have that ability to be, careless, so to speak. I didn't have the ability to disconnect from my conscience. And I think that's good, but some people think it wasn't good because I wouldn't let go with them and do other things more often. But I just had to know that everything was right, and I had to know that everybody was safe. I knew that if we're intimate, some very powerful things can happen when you bring spiritual presence to things like intimacy. Very profound things happen, and people can get either scared or overly attached because it's so wonderful. So to be able to navigate that and say, hey, is there anyone out there that can share that without getting too tripped out one way or the other? And it isn't that common. You can find that sort of thing. So I just found that I thought, hey, you know what? If I'm going to be intimate, the person has to be a friend. That's why I call it intimate friends. It can't just be intimate. I don't believe in friends with benefits, which is fine. People do it, but it's not my thing. That's called mutual usury. You just pretend that this doesn't mean anything, and I'll pretend, and we'll just get our, desires met, and it doesn't. All it does is create more emptiness. So I don't really promote that. I don't think it's healthy. I'm not saying I judge it or care that much. I mean, I'm not going to get on a big soapbox about it and put it down. I'm just saying I can see it for what it is, and most people, it's mutual usury. So I recommend instead, don't be intimate with someone that doesn't feel like there's love and respect, or what I call a friend. A friend, man, that's so beautiful. We have a friendship. And if the intimacy goes away, can we still be friends? If not, then we were probably never friends, or at least we were only friends to a degree, and we were putting aside issues that we didn't want to look at. That's what would be happening. To me, even if the intimacy is not there, we're only friends if the love and respect still remains, and I think that's cool. And that's kind of how this all morphed for me, and it came to be for my understanding. So I see all of them as valuable. I've done them all, and I don't go, I've done them, and these are wrong, and this is right. See, then it's still reactive from a person. I can actually truly, authentically say every one of those options of relations has quite great beauty to it, absolute great beauty, as long as we know it's coming from a healthy, conscious decision rather than a compulsion or reaction. Okay? So I pray this has made good sense, and in a way it's a little different from some of our talks, but I pray it's made good sense. I hope you feel inspired by this. I pray that it's made sense, and most of all, I pray that it makes a difference in your life. All right? Many blessings, and thank you for being with me here, but also thanks for being with each other, and thanks for letting me share a little of my personal history, because I hadn't done that before with a group. But I hope it made sense and that you understand where I've been. Okay? Blessings to you. Bye-bye.